All right, guys. So for those of you who are familiar with the channel and have seen the truck, you'll know what this is going on. For those of you that don't, might go back and look at some prior videos. I'll do a quick walk around. But anyway, I have a 08 Tacoma regular cab, 4x4, 5-speed on 1-ton axles with 40-inch tires and 513 gears. And it's not horrible on power, but obviously it's not great either. They weren't great to begin with. So just looking to do some cheap, simple mods, to maybe boost the performance a little bit, but without going crazy. So I found this HPS intake tube used. I got it for what I felt was a good deal, shipped to my door for less than half of the original price. So I am going to try and install this on my Tacoma and give you guys just kind of my impressions, seat of the pants kind of feel. I'm going to rig up the camera. We'll do a before and after. And see if this thing's worth anything or not. For half price, I figured I couldn't go wrong. It at least cleans up the look under the hood. So let's give it a whirl. So for those of you not familiar, this is the truck. It is something that I bought wrecked and fixed. The headlights, grill, this left front fender, we're all kind of wadded up. The box sides are still both kind of banged up. I haven't done anything with that yet. I fabricated the front bumper. We've swapped it over to the 1-ton axles with 4-link style front suspension with a panhard bar, hydro assist steering. It's got an air locker in the front. I did install this TJM snorkel. It is feeding the factory airbox with a K&N air filter. And it's got like an aftermarket, call it like a Thrush turbo style muffler. Walk around in the back here because you can kind of see it all the way up. But Thrush turbo style muffler. We've deleted the secondary cat. There was no sensors after it. So, but yeah. Just 2 1/4 inch stock size piping. It is nothing super duper fancy, but it does good. It gets around good, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So I'm gonna rig up the camera. We'll do a little before drive. We'll come back, install it, and then do an after drive. Okay, so one of the beauties of the truck is the AC still works, which is wonderful. So this truck has 198,767 miles on it. Starts, runs, idles, nice quiet. I've gone through and got the lights all turned off. Some in good ways, some in ways that just get the lights off, but I don't have any extra lights on the dash, so if I do have something on, I know I have an issue. 5-speed twin stick shifters for the FJ Cruiser transfer case I installed. Other than that, everything kind of works. So let's go for an initial drive here, and you can kind of get a feel for what it does. Again, it's not a powerhouse, but it's not horrible either. But I do feel like you got to kind of wring its neck, to get it going. But even in factory form, it wasn't like it was some super race car. So extra foggy here today. This is a fairly straight road, but it does have some hills in it, some elevation. Unfortunately, we're hitting it at right about quitting time for most people, so it's going to be extra busy. But as you can see, it's 55 miles an hour in 4th gear, just shy of 2,500 RPM. And even at that, if you hit the gas on anything other than flat ground, it kind of lugs it pretty good. Which is fine. I mean, I get turbocharge it or supercharge it, because that would quite literally double my investment. So as it stands right now, I only have about $6,000 into the entire truck. That includes buying it wrecked, which I bought it for $1,000, which I understand is cheap, but if you go back and watch the videos, you'll see I put an exorbitant amount of work into it. The frame had some rust issues, but I've also been patient in sourcing deals and whatnot, purchasing the axles from somebody else's abandoned project. I traded some parts for the tires and stuff like that. Just trying to be as frugal as possible, so as to not cut into the family budget too much, you know, by building a toy. But I've been daily driving it now for over a month. I put like 2,500 miles on it. That includes a couple of really good trips, and so far so good. I mean, it really had a couple of hiccups there at the beginning, but it really hasn't left me stranded. It hasn't done, you know, nothing too crazy. So it's been great. So if you haven't followed, this is third gear. We're doing 35 miles an hour, a couple thousand RPM. We're starting to ascend the hill here at kind of just a very slight grade. There's like 44, 45. I have it floored. There's not a ton of noise from the exhaust or the intake, either one, which is what I wanted. I didn't want something that's loud and obnoxious and annoying. I want to be able to daily drive it. I want to be able to video in it, vlog in it, and not have, you know, to be trying to talk over some obnoxiously loud vehicle. It's nice to be able to actually have conversations with your passengers and that kind of stuff. So again, this is pretty good. This is the steepest part of the hill, 50 miles an hour, third gear. And you can accelerate, but it's, you know, it's working at it. So there's fourth. Fourth on flat ground, flooring it. Again, it accelerates. It's not lightning fast. I wouldn't expect it to be. The truck is literally lugging around like 1,300 extra pounds. So I looked up the curb weight on it from Toyota was 3,615 pounds, and I ran it across the scales yesterday. With me in it was 4,940 pounds. So, and a lot of that is in rotating mass. So the 40-inch tire and beadlock wheel combination weigh 125 pounds per corner, which that is a lot of extra rotating mass. So, yeah, again, I don't have huge expectations for the intake pipe. But every little bit helps, right? Because you're probably dealing with, you know, less than 100 wheel horsepower in something like this right now. So let's see what it takes to swap it on. Okay, so this is the underhood compartment of this truck. It's dirty. I use it. It's not a pavement princess by any means. So what I've got going on, again, factory air box. The snorkel connects through the fender liner there. Underneath the fender, there's a tube that goes back and then out. So that has no bearing on what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here is simply replacing this resonator chamber and the couplings between the throttle body and the airbox. Should be pretty simple. Bolt on affair, no big deal. This does retain your factory airbox, factory mass airflow sensor. I recently cleaned the filter. As a matter of fact, that's how I found that I wanted to put the snorkel on. So anyway, we'll swap this thing out, and no other modifications. Take it for a drive just to get some impressions on if it does anything in my truck. Again, your experience may be different because my truck is lugging a lot of extra weight. Okay, removal is pretty easy. You've got a clamp at the throttle body. You have a clamp at the airbox at the mass airflow sensor. You got a couple of bolts on either side of that, a bolt. You got a vacuum line here, which is going to the fuel pressure regulator. On the back side, you have air intake temperature sensor, which I unplugged. There's also another vacuum line that's going into the bottom of that, so maybe that's actually not the air intake temp sensor. That may be something else. I don't know what that would be. It's related to the EGR anyway. And then you have this tube here, which I was able to grab the spring clamps with my fingers and pop that off. So anyway, this is the original airbox resonator assembly. So we're going to replace all that ugliness with something nice and simple and clean. So again, don't have huge expectations, but curiosity. Okay, so according to the instructions, we are to remove this pressure sensor, they're calling it, for the EGR. So I pop that off. It comes with a bracket, so we can reinstall that. So it's clamped down to the valve cover, kind of in a similar location to where it was originally. It also said to disconnect the negative battery cable. So I don't know, something about clearing computer memory or something. So done that as well. Wouldn't be a bad time to replace your spark plugs if you haven't. I actually did that recently when I purchased it. I went through and did that. So not too concerned about it, but it wouldn't be a bad idea if you're already in here. So anyway, let's get this mounted to its bracket and keep plugging away here. So I have reinstalled the sensor utilizing their L bracket. It just bolts to it. Make sure you plug your vacuum line and electrical line both back into that. And I bolted it to that farthest back factory threaded hole on the valve cover. Now it looks like it's as simple as installing that main hose, clamps at both ends, and then we got to tie in the fuel pressure regulator vacuum line, and then make sure that we get the PCV line there in the back. Okay, so it is as simple as that. You put it on, clamp there, vacuum hose replaces the original one going to your fuel pressure regulator. Your original rubber hose goes on the back. It falls into place, guys. This has got to be the easiest mod I think I've ever done, if you even call it a mod. I mean, this is easier than putting on a sticker, I think. So anyway, we're gonna reconnect our negative ground cable and fire it back up, go for a ride. Seems to be fourth gear this hill. I don't know. We'll see. Seems to be similar. Let's see. direction. It does feel a little smoother. It doesn't feel as jerky, if that makes any sense. Kind of in the lower RPMs when it was like bogging, you know, when you knew you were putting a real heavy load on the engine, it did kind of have like a bog or a hesitation almost, which seems to be gone, which is great. That's kind of one of those annoying things when you're taking off, you know, trying to just be gentle on it. It had kind of this weird hesitation or bog at takeoff, or lugging it in any gear when you were shifting, and that does seem to be gone. So it's at least improved whatever that window of RPM is, which is good. Let's see what it's like here. So we're actually on kind of an uphill area here, with all these cars turning, and we still got a pretty decent climb. So that was like a 4,500 RPM shift, which I'll do again. That gets me above that bog area normally. So there does seem to be a little bit more intake noise. Again, nothing I would call obnoxious or, you know, or intrusive in any way, but noticeable. Yeah, I don't know. Jury's out, I guess. I'm sure that as things adapt, as the truck, you know, relearns from drive cycles, it may change. Initial impression is it's definitely worth what I spent. You know, buying it new, I don't know. I mean, I can't say that it was some massive improvement, but again, my truck is built different. You know, it's not like I've got a stock truck for you guys to compare this to. So, HPS intake pipe. I think it was worth it for what I did and for what I'm doing with it. As far as how it works out for you, I guess the jury's out. Let me know. Do you have one? Are you looking at one? Yeah. In the meantime, we got more exciting stuff going on. So I have partnered up with Trail Gear, and they don't offer a rock slider for a regular cab second generation Tacoma. However, they do offer these 60-inch sliders built for first generation Toyota 4Runner. And based on measurements, that's the length I wanted. So they sent me a set of these. Not free. Nothing in life's free, guys. But they sent me a set of these at a little bit of a discount. And we're going to get these hooked up on my truck so you guys can see what that looks like. So there's going to be a little bit of fabrication involved, but shouldn't be nothing too crazy. Also, we are going to upgrade to one of their hydro assist rams, which has nice machined Heim ends to it, as opposed to the tractor style ram that I bought online, which has a lot of play in the ends. So I'm anxious to get that on and see if this tightens up the steering a little bit. Yeah. Stay tuned. The build continues.